What is up, everybody? It's Jamey. Welcome back to the channel. Since I've been traveling a little bit more for both work and personal, I thought it would be a good idea to take a look at my Rimowa suitcase and see how it's doing after. I think I bought it probably at this point in time maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm going to show you how it looks after this travel, and then also I'm going to talk to you a little bit about things that I like, things that I don't like about it, things that I wish it had, and just give my full overall take after having and using the suitcase pretty extensively for the past 4 or 5 years or so. I also was recently in the market for a larger suitcase. I needed a bag to check, and so I'll give you my process and thoughts that I went through as well in searching for that suitcase, and I'll let you know what I end up going with. Here we go. This is my Rimowa Cabin suitcase. Let me flip it around. If you haven't seen my previous video, I purchased this suitcase, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I paid, I think it was the Beverly Hills store in the United States. So at the time, it was like $1,050 plus tax. And I was looking at them recently. This was maybe a few months ago, and it was, I think, $1,450 or $1,425. So they have gone up considerably since I purchased this one. At the time when I spent $1,000 for this, I thought it was a decent chunk of change. So now that they've gone up in price, it's even more of a shock, I guess. When I bought this suitcase, I went to the store and I was originally planning on getting the classic just standard aluminum silver color, and these were actually a little bit before they were charging a premium for the black color, and then they ended up putting them all colors at the same price. So I think the black color was at a premium, and they just ended up increasing the aluminum cost to be in alignment. And when I went into the store, I was really taken aback by the shininess of just the standard aluminum silver case, and I couldn't do it. I typically try to not be super flashy. Granted, if you have a Rimowa suitcase, it's pseudo flashy, but I decided to go with the black. And I think that now, the reason why I had that, I honestly think because I see them in airports all the time, just a normal aluminum color, and I really have no problem with it. I actually am very attracted to that suitcase. And so I think that it was just in the store that because of the lights in the store, it just looked a little bit shinier than what it would normally. One of the hesitations that I had with the black colors, all they're doing is you're taking the aluminum and they're painting over it. And so obviously, one concern is just, paint scratching off of the suitcase. And so granted, from a use case perspective, with this being a carry-on, this is the cabin size. And I would say I carry this on, and I'm able to carry it on and not gate check it probably, 98% of the time that I travel. So it hasn't been checked often. And in that time period, you can see there's not, and I'll do some B-roll so you can see this, but there's not a ton of scratches that are on it. There's a little bit here and there. You can see on the corners. I'd say there's one side that's more beat up than the others. This side right here is beat up pretty decently. But I would say that overall, the color, granted, this has just been checked the majority of the time, the black color has stood up pretty well considering the amount of travel that I have done with this. And when I say travel, it's not just airplanes, it's also short trips. I will bring this as well. So it's being thrown in and out of cars and what have you. And all those instances have opportunities to get scratched up, dinged, dented, or whatnot. And it's overall, I think it's pretty good. If you're worried about the color scratching off, I don't think it's that big of a deal. No matter what, these suitcases are not going to be perfect. That's not what they're intended for. They're intended to get beat up. They're intended to look worn. So if that would drive you crazy, then I would say just don't get these suitcases at all, because you're kind of missing the entire point there. For the use, I haven't had any problems with it at all. Nothing has broken. There's a couple like considerable dents. There's a decent dent here. So on these like metal corners, I think you can even actually go to a store and they can either replace these or bump or like pop out the dents. You can see this one here. This isn't really dented, but it's scratched up pretty well. But outside of that, I've had no problems with the wheels or any of the, wow, getting blown out a lot here. Sun's kind of setting, doing some weird stuff right now, but no problems with like the wheels, the handle, locking mechanism whatsoever. Sorry about that. Changes in lighting, or the sun's doing some crazy stuff right now, and so it's getting all wild. So sorry about the differences in the look of things. For those of you that have not had the chance to use or kind of just play around with the suitcase in person, granted, playing around with a suitcase not a big deal, whatever, but they just haven't been hands-on with it. Some of the really like nice things about the suitcase are the wheels and the telescoping handle. The wheels are a big deal is because it's so effortless to maneuver the suitcase around the airport. And granted, depending upon your specific use case and scenarios in which you're using a suitcase, that might not be that big of a deal. But if you're going from like an international terminal and you're walking miles with a suitcase, or what seems to be miles with a suitcase, you're going over different surfaces, whether it be street to tiled floor to carpeted floor to thick carpet floor, all over the place. Depending upon like the suitcase, like that can be a miserable experience. It's the wheels in combination with the telescoping handle. So if you've used suitcases of lesser quality before, you're familiar with the flimsiness of the handle. I don't know why companies really cheap out on this handle, but the material is very thin. Maybe they don't go up very high, and the higher that they telescope up, they get more wobbly. So you can be pushing the suitcase and your hand almost feels like it's in front of the suitcase itself because there's so much play. And so you find yourself just having to exert a lot more force, just because the combination of a terrible handle and terrible wheels just makes an overall bad situation. So I've experienced this just because, traveling with other people that might have different suitcases, you're helping them out, and you have one hand that's doing one suitcase, you're doing the Rimowa suitcase, and it's a fantastic experience, and the other one, you're just fighting with the suitcase the entire time. Overall, I think that when I think about the suitcase, the things that I really like about it, I like the look, it's classic. It's never gonna go out of style. I do like the black, it's subdued. If I was to get like another one of these carry-on, I wouldn't go with the black again. I'd probably go with the polished aluminum one. The wheels, the handle, just complete game changers for travel. The size with the cabin, I think I said in my previous video, like I've been someplace for 2 weeks and I've been able to just keep everything between this and a backpack, and I'm good. Now, granted, that depending upon how you pack, that might not be possible for you. Those are the things that I like. Let me talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I don't like. So let me flip this around. So when I'm thinking about the things that I don't like about this suitcase, aside from the price, is everything that goes on the inside. So on both sides of the inside, they have this kind of this Velcro separator situation that it's nice in theory to help compress whatever you have down, whatever you have in here, compress it down while also, you know, giving you a little bit of extra space to put some smaller things in here. So you have this on both sides. The problem is that it's this Velcro situation and it's just not very strong. So this is like within no real usage, the stickiness, the strength of the Velcro on this thing just completely like wore away. Like it's very, I don't know if this is what it's intended for, but it just, to me, I find that it just removes, it's removed much too easily. And I just think that for a suitcase of this cost, that maybe this can be better constructed or better thought out. It's just a little bit of a miss as far as I'm concerned. Not a huge deal. I'm sure that I can get this replaced or what. I just haven't really spent the time to go through that. It's not that big of a deal. The other issue that I have is just the liner. So let me take this out. There's the interior of the suitcase is lined with this kind of shiny, I don't know what material it is, but some sort of like fabric material throughout the entire suitcase on both sides. It has like this stitching up here, but what I found is that this is just kind of, it's just like glued. There's some sort of adhesive and it's just glued around the top here. And I've found in certain areas where the adhesive is coming off or no longer sticky. And so the fabric has like kind of pulled down a little bit. I've been able to like re-adhere it to its spot. But I would think that and I don't know, I mean, I don't make suitcases. I'm not involved in any construction of suitcases whatsoever. So I don't really know if there's a better way or a different way to do it. But I was just a little surprised that, you know, I saw the interior lining of the suitcase kind of peeling away with no, like, it's one thing for the exterior to get beat up. I'm not really doing anything other than putting stuff in here on the interior. So for this to start to peel away, not something that I was wanting or hoping to see in a suitcase of this cost. So those, when I talk about just overall things I'm not super happy with, and if I'm nitpicking, those are the two things. I would 100% make this purchase all over again. I'm very happy with it. At the time when I did initially purchase, I thought that it was an insane move, but I have found time and time again so many situations in which I've been extremely happy that I ended up making that decision. If I could do it all over again, would I still get the black? That I don't know. So the question is, if you're in the market today, I think it's a very different scenario because now you're talking $1,400, over $1,400 pre-tax for this suitcase. That is a very different circumstance. I don't know really what I would do if I hadn't purchased this already. So if I was someone hadn't purchased it, hadn't used a suitcase like this for several years, didn't know how much of an enjoyable experience it would be, would I still purchase? I don't know, $1,400 for me. If you're flush with cash, yeah, go ahead, do it. But I would really have to think about that a little bit more if I had never purchased this previously. Moving on from the Rimowa suitcase, I just want to do a quick comparison because this is one of the reasons why I love my suitcase so much. You likely see these things all over the place. This is an away suitcase. Polycarbonate exterior. It has a zipper, so it doesn't have clips. It has like a zipper to open it, and I think you can also extend it as well. This is my girlfriend's suitcase, and so when we would travel, and she's got this one. I'm obviously wheeling both suitcases, and this was my nightmare. So my nightmare because it was just the wheels are terrible. This handle here is awful. This is the main suitcase that I'm talking about when you're pushing it and you have to the handle is in front of the suitcase because it's so, wobbly. But this, I don't know, this is probably like $300, $250 or what have you. I wouldn't buy this at all I'm not saying, granted, this and the Rimowa are in completely different price categories, but I think that there are much better suitcases than this. I would just go with a normal suitcase brand, Samsonite or what have you. They have some gimmicks in here, like there's like a phone charger situation. And the only thing that's done is, to my knowledge, she's never used it. There has been instances in which it's caused problems because there's a lithium-ion battery in it, and security, it had to be removed from the suitcase in order to get it on the plane. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring this up just because I have it. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I was in the market for a checked suitcase. My girlfriend and I, we recently had a child. We were traveling to Europe, and we wanted to have at least one checked bag. And so in my heart, I wanted a Rimowa suitcase, the check-in, they call it the check, medium, large, whatever. But I think when I looked at it, it was like $1,600. So as much as I wanted the Rimowa suitcase, I just couldn't justify it. I think for a carry-on, 100%, because I use this carry-on all the time, not just when I'm flying, but whenever we're doing short trips. I don't use a duffel. We throw stuff into the Rimowa suitcase. It's perfect. The checked bag, I rarely will ever check a bag. We always try to never check luggage if possible. That changes a little bit now that we have a child. But it's just, I see people, to try to protect the checked bags, they have these almost like condoms for suitcases. They wrap their suitcases in some sort of plastic material, try to help. I don't want to deal with that. That just seems like a hassle. So to spend that kind of money on a suitcase is just going to get thrown around. I just couldn't justify it. So let me show you what I got instead. So this is the suitcase that I got instead. It is a Samsonite suitcase. It is not very expensive, considering I think I spent, this was under $300. It was on sale. It seems like I went to the store. It seems like they're always continually on sale. So the thing I liked about this is I liked the material, polycarbonate material as well. And then I liked that it's these clips. So I didn't want to do the zipper thing. I don't like the floppiness of it. And so for less than $300, I don't really care about this thing. It just needs to work okay. We've used it maybe twice now. And does it wheel as good as the Rimowa? No. Is the handle as good as the Rimowa? No. Does it have anywhere near the premium qualities of a Rimowa? No, but that's expected. But I'm also not going to clench every single time that I go on a trip and have to check the bag because I spent so much money on that thing, and the airline people are just gonna throw the thing around like it's nothing. So that's not to say I won't purchase one in the future, but as of right now, I'm very happy with this purchase. Let me open it up for you so you can just kind of see. So a couple clips, and then the interior, it's nothing fancy, but I think for the situation, it works really well. And this has been across Europe. We've taken it across country as well, and it's beat up a little bit, but it's still in great shape. So that's all that I have for you. I hope that you found the video helpful and informative. If you're looking in this type of scenario and it helped out with your buying decision. If you have any questions, just please feel free to comment below and I'll try to help you out with any follow-up questions. If you haven't already, please like the video if you enjoyed it. And if you're interested, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you on the next one.